Function with Purpose podcast. All things health, wellness, fitness, and education through the physical therapy perspective. I am Dr. Amy Bullock, owner and founder of Fortress Physical Therapy. Fortress PT is here to serve the Charlotte metro area by highlighting the importance of how and why physical therapy should be a part of your health and wellness lifestyle. Here we go. Welcome to Season 11 of the Function with Purpose podcast. First episode coming at you, coming in hot. Thanks for joining in. If this is the first time you've ever heard of this podcast, Function with Purpose, I am Dr. Amy, owner and founder of this podcast. I am a physical therapist located in Charlotte, North Carolina area. And thanks for tuning in. So I've been doing these podcasts probably for, this is now, I think I started it during the pandemic, so 2020, 2021. So this is 3 years now? We'll be going on 4. So just something to get out to the public's perspective that PT, physiotherapy or physical therapy, can help bridge the gap between injury, setback, fitness, even nutrition, in order to live a better lifestyle, right? Health, wellness, fitness, education, recovery, and that is what I'm here to hopefully change your mindset about. But welcome. All right, Season 11, we're starting out with our first episode from a personal viewpoint. The title of this is going to be Recovery Tips During and After a Competition, i.e. specifically from personal experience. I did my first team competition this past year, this past summer, CrossFit specifically, with a dear athlete slash patient and now a good friend of mine, Kara, shout out. We did a two-person team competition here north of the city in Mooresville at CrossFit 77, and just wanted to give and provide some tips, some things that I personally did during the competition. It was a one-day competition, and things that I did after. Yes, I am going to poo-poo some things that one may not agree with, but obviously, from the PT perspective, there is a reason why you should not do something specifically, and you might know what it is. So, again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll kind of get right into it. So this is personal experience. Again, these podcasts, these episodes are just based on my professional opinion, what I think, my 2 cents, and you can kind of take it for what it is. But so during the actual competition day, we had 4 different workouts. So I knew, based from previous experience, that I needed to bring, you have to pack your own food for this stuff, right? Because with the food aspect, I guess we'll kind of talk about food / fuel during a competition, that it is very important to feed our bodies, i.e. the muscles, the fuel it needs. It's no different than when you're driving a car and your car is almost on E or empty, you have to go to the gas station and fill it up, right? It's the same concept. So things to kind of look at and incorporate and bring with you for intra-competition recovery from a nutrition standpoint is, first and foremost, your body during a competition day feeds off of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the fuel, is what your muscles need in order to perform, as well as your nervous system. So some things that tend to sit well with me, with my stomach, and that gives me that fuel to re-up or put my gas tank to the full tick mark is I'm a big fan of peanut butter and jelly. So these quick acting carbohydrates that can enter your body system very quickly, i.e. it goes into the bloodstream very quickly, it's easily digestible. Usually these type of carbohydrates, so my prime example is peanut butter and jelly. So on, bread is very easily digestible. It goes through your system fairly quickly, and it gives you fuel. So with the peanut butter and jelly, obviously we have the jelly on top of that. So that is basically sugar, right? And that's a good thing for when we are refueling our muscle tissue, the quick carbohydrates or sugars that can enter the bloodstream again very, very quickly, and the gut doesn't have to work a lot. And then the peanut butter, just a slight hint of fat, not too much. Just a nice little thin layer of fat or peanut butter that I put on the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, just to obviously taste the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But some other quick carbohydrates that is very advisable, and some other things that I made a recipe, and I can maybe I'll shoot a video on this at some moment and upload it to the YouTube channel or the Fortress Instagram page. My go-to protein balls, this recipe was given to me by an athlete of mine. So good. So it's made of oats, dried oats, peanut butter, honey, whey protein. I like whey protein. It sits well with me. And dark chocolate chips, and also multi-purpose flour. So basically, you have equal parts of all of those. I also sprinkled in some salt and some cinnamon when I prepped this. And then I just rolled them into miniature bite-sized balls, basically. So that was another thing that, nutrition-wise, I would integrate and have in between workouts. It's quick carbs. It tastes yummy. I mean, I love chocolate and peanut butter, i.e. Reese Cups. Ugh. So I would have 2 of those protein balls after I would work out for nutrition recovery as well. And then on top of that, too, to stem off is, I'm drinking a Gatorade because you're losing electrolytes. So I like the Gatorade Zero, so that was another thing that I would incorporate in between the workouts that we had for the day. And I just brought 2 or 3 of those 12-ounce Gatorade Zero, so it would have the sodium and potassium in it, but it wasn't heavily stacked with sugar because I was getting my sugars elsewhere via food that was very quickly digestible. So the main thing with recovery via nutrition when you're actually at a competition day is getting the quick carbohydrates that are easily digestible. So another thing that athletes will do, I didn't do in particular, is they'll bring in gummy bears, right? So that's straight sugar. It goes to the bloodstream almost immediately, which means it's going to feed your muscles after a very intense bout of exercise. And that's another thing, if you like to munch on some gummies afterwards or in between, that's another great quick thing for carbohydrates, i.e. sugar. So not only peanut butter and jelly are a staple of mine and the protein balls, but then fruit. So I packed bananas, easily digestible, blueberries, and grapes and oranges. So those are all kind of very more easily digestible fruits, which have the natural sugar, and again, it's carbohydrate. So it's quickly getting digested via your gut, but then it's shooting out into the muscles more fast than what, a piece of steak would do. I would not advise eating solid pieces of food in between working out. When you go do your first workout, 2 hours later you do another workout. We do not want to ingest a lot of solid food like that. So hopefully you kind of gathered that. So during a competition for fueling, we want the quick digesting carbohydrates, based on the examples I provided, and some fruits, right? That's a carbohydrate. We do want some protein intake, and I think probably one of the best things for protein intake would be kind of like a whey protein shake. Some athletes will do like whey protein powder, as well as maybe the Gatorade powder mixed in a shaker, right? So they're getting their carbohydrates via liquid, as well as the protein via liquid, right? Because you're shaking it up in the shaker bottle and it mixes very well. So that's kind of like the main two macronutrients you want to focus on. We don't really want to focus on a lot of fat because, again, when it comes to the gut requires more energy and more blood drawn to the actual gut area in order to digest those difficult fats. So we only want a little bit of fat, and peanut butter, almond butter, like that is a staple. If any of those type of nut butters work well for you, that's a good little thing to keep with you and pack with you as well. So that's kind of like the basic within competition, in between workouts, for nutrition recovery. And then of course, you're sipping on water and electrolytes, as I mentioned as well. So flipping from the nutrition aspect within the workouts or the competition day, let's flip to during the competition day. How do I prevent or become less stagnant, right? In order to get ready for my next workout, right? And again, this is based on personal preference and competitions that I've experienced in the past that led up to more refining of this. So I think when it comes to recovery in between your workouts on competition day, what I did immediately after the workouts, I got on a assault bike or an echo bike and pedaled backwards, just easy. Really trying to get my heart rate to come down. And I'm talking like 20 to 30 RPMs on that. So it's just very nonchalant. And I'm trying to incorporate as well nasal breathing, a faster inhale and a longer exhale. So that kind of taps into the nervous system. If you're a nerd like me, you'll want to start doing this. And it will help. I can attest to it. So recovering on some type of machine that doesn't really require the full body, full effort. So I would suggest perhaps a bike erg over like a rower or a ski erg. That's basically the ergs that we use in a CrossFit competition. I like the stationary bike because, number one, you're not using your entire body. You can if you want, but it's less effort as opposed to if you were to row, right? Like, I feel like rowing and then the ski erg would really jump that heart rate up or keep it higher. So I would suggest a bike, or even just walk some laps. Something that doesn't require a lot of thinking as well, or significant amount of movement or effort. So walking or probably like a stationary bike would be the best for getting that heart rate to come down, and then incorporating some nasal breathing. the nasal breathing helps tap into that nervous system, right? Because you're already at a fight or flight response, i.e. we term that the sympathetic response, right? Because you just got done doing a hard workout, and I want to get into this more calming environment, i.e. the parasympathetic nervous system response. So nasal breathing will help with that and will indirectly lower the heart rate too. So I think that's first and foremost, and that was exactly what I did after the 4 workouts. I would just get on the bike and spin backwards. That's just me though. I like to go backwards because we're always in a forward motion. And I would stay on that bike for like 5 or 10 minutes. And, I'm sipping on my water or Gatorade as well. So I'm kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. When I'm not drinking the water, I'm nasal breathing. I'm just trying to really get my nervous system to calm down and my heart rate to decrease as well. So, okay, Amy, well, what else do you do besides spin on a bike? After I did my bout of the stationary bike, I would go over to my area where I had my food and all that, and I would just do some gentle stretching. First and foremost, I would do static hold positions, and this is going to coincide with why would you hold static? Why wouldn't you just move? I like to perform more so long stretching holds or static position holds, because I've already strained my muscles, right? I already told them to work, and now since my body temperature is up, there's a lot of blood flowing everywhere, basically from my head to my tippy toes to my fingertips. I want to help drive the blood and help circulate my blood to the areas that I perceive that need that blood flow. All right, so I'll just do a basic hamstring stretch. I'm sitting on the floor and one leg is out, the other one is in, and I kind of look like a tree pose, but I'm sitting on my butt and I'm just stretching out, reaching towards my foot to stretch out that hamstring. And then I kind of just focus on the main muscle groups, so hamstrings, quad muscles, the front thigh muscles, and then shoulders or pec muscles, that's the chest muscles that are in the front of our body. And then even the in-between shoulder blade muscles, so the muscles that kind of sit from the spine and go to the shoulder blade aspect, those are called the rhomboid muscles. And even as well as the middle trapezius muscles. So those hitting both sides of the major joints, i.e. the hip and shoulder, and I'll hold certain positions that target that area. So I'll usually kind of hold those positions maybe for 2 minutes each. And then what else I did was just, honestly, I laid on my back and just breathed. So my knees were bent and I was just kind of really focusing on deep breathing. And then if my body felt like it, I would perform the yoga pose happy baby. So I would just kind of rock back and forth on my back. So getting some type of movement or stretch routine in between the workouts was a key thing for me in riding that stationary bike with the nasal breathing. I didn't have a foam roller or anything. I did have a lacrosse ball, but the only time I used a lacrosse ball was for my back muscles. So I would do some soft tissue recovery just to kind of hit some quote unquote air quotes trigger points in my back to help release the muscle tension. So that's on. I keep things very basic. as you noticed. So I think from a movement perspective, within a CrossFit or competition day, is getting some type of breathing and active recovery immediately after the workout. So the stationary bike or even just simple walking that will help decrease the heart rate and decrease your fight or flight response to get into that rest and digest. And then once you kind of get to your designated area, perhaps where you have your gym bag and lunchbox or bag of goodies for your fuel recovery, that's when you're perhaps doing a mobility routine or a static stretch routine. And another thing too, I'm still nasal breathing. I'm really trying to hold on to and incorporate getting back to that parasympathetic response. Because then I got to get ready for the next workout, right? In an hour, I got to start warming up for the next workout. So those are kind of the basic recovery tips. If you have any that you specifically do, definitely drop it in the comments. I want to hear it. But first and foremost, that's from personal experience. That's what I do. Okay, all right, here comes some of the remainder of the podcast here. What do you do after a competition? I'll tell you exactly what I did. And what you should not do. And I know you're going to be upset about this, but so after my competition, we had the 4 workouts. When I got home, I immediately took a hot shower. Why hot shower, Amy? Why not a cool shower? Well, a hot shower is going to promote a little bit more of that recovery balance. So I'm increasing my body temperature a little bit more post-recovery in order to have and prep for my sleep later on. So yeah, that's a thing. So I immediately got a shower and I was pooped, so still kind of the basic nutrition feed as if I was within the competition, right? So I'm eating like another piece of fruit, and I came downstairs after I showered, and I put my toe spacers in between my toes and elevated my legs for like 10 minutes. And just, again, still focused on breathing. So I took what I did within the workout earlier that day and incorporated a little bit more when I got home, with the exception of as soon as I got home, I took that hot shower. And I was legit in my PJs for the rest of the day. And my body, over time, I just rested on the couch. I'm eating, I'm resting, I'm drinking water. I had a liquid IV, not sponsored, should be. And I knew I needed to get solid food in me. And I was cooking chicken that day. And I needed, although I didn't feel like eating the whole thing, I ate probably about 6 ounces of chicken breast that evening. And I was still hungry as well because now I'm getting back to this parasympathetic state. But I wasn't working out the rest of the day, so that's when the solid food ingestion comes in. Chicken sits well with me, and then I think I maybe had like a baked potato or something, or maybe the quick like Bob Evans whipped potatoes, and then some type of vegetable. Perhaps it might have been steamed carrots or string beans. Just very simple, that's easily digestible. Not broccoli or like Brussels sprouts. That tends to be a little bit harder to digest, at least for me. And I knew also I wanted to treat myself later that evening to my favorite protein yogurt and chocolate snack. So, what is the thing that you should probably avoid after a competition? Well, I'll just straight up say it. alcohol. Alcohol is probably not the best thing to feed yourself after a bout of competition or on the competition day. I know some of us perhaps do want to celebrate. Maybe this was a goal that you hit. I have done that before, that evening, and I don't go ham, but you might have an old fashioned or a glass of wine, and that's okay. But I think the more experience that I had in the past and doing some mini competitions here and there, that alcohol is going to impact your recovery even more. And I don't want to do that anymore. That's just me. So I would celebrate a day or two later or the following weekend for what I achieved, whatever the case may be. Right? So just to instill this and to create some thinking for you, and I'm not going to completely poo-poo it, but I just don't believe or feel that that is the right thing to do, because alcohol is actually a poison. We know that. It has to get filtrated through the liver, which then goes into the bloodstream and your GI. And you might feel that you might have a deeper sleep at night, but honestly, it's greatly impacting your nervous system. You already jacked up your nervous system earlier in the day from working out. Why would I want to continue that later in sleeping and then perhaps on to the next day, right? Because recovery too, sleep goes into this. Sleep is where the body recovers from anything. Even if you have a bout of flu or if you're fighting off infection, sleep is the best medicine. So, sorry to burst your bubble, alcohol is not the best medicine for recovery. Even though you might feel like you get into a deeper sleep and you feel good upon waking, I guarantee you, if you have a Whoop band or something, that would beg to differ. So that really opened up my eyes too. I do have a Whoop band, not sponsored either, totally should be, but to avoid alcohol ingestion at least that day of the competition, and then maybe perhaps the following day. I want to recover. I want to build muscle tissue and tame my nervous system. I don't want to mess it up even more. And the more that I put myself through things like this, the more I can refine my process. Pending how I feel, I'm not gonna lie, I like a bourbon here and there. I like an old fashioned, and if I'm feeling it and I'm feeling great, and I'll have one. But for the most part, I won't. But that's kind of the basics of what I wanted to go over. Some of the recovery tips during and after a competition, specifically from my viewpoint. A one-day CrossFit competition, a local competition that I participated in. So during the competition, focusing from nutrition aspect during it, quick ingestion of carbohydrates that are easily digestible. So my go-tos are peanut butter and jelly, protein balls, fruits, so like bananas, grapes, oranges, as well as, of course, water, and I like the Gatorade Zero, so I'm getting some electrolytes. From a movement perspective during a competition or in between my workouts specifically, I would do 5 to 10 minutes recovery spin on a bike erg, stationary bike erg, and then do some long static stretch holds that hit the major joints and major big muscles of the body, so the shoulder complex, the hip complex, and then still incorporate some nasal breathing throughout the entire recovery process. After competition's over, I immediately came home, got a shower, hot shower, and kind of instilled some of the same practices that I did within the competition, just to a lesser extent at home, and then honestly just rest, chill, and no alcohol that day. Sorry, totally poo-pooed it, but actually felt good the next day. I was just a little bit sore, so in my neck and mid-back muscles. So I just focused on some soft tissue work thereafter and went on my long walk and all that jazz. But yeah, so if there's any recovery tips that you do during or after a competition, I would love to hear them. But those are kind of like the basics, and from my personal standpoint, carbohydrates are our friend. Getting some type of movement, incorporating nasal breathing, and tame the nervous system. Sleep is good. We want good sleep that night of a competition after you finish. Sleep is what helps the body recover. And unfortunately, if you ingest a bunch of alcohol after, you're not really going to recover as well. You will, but you probably won't feel the effects till the following weekend. All right, thanks for hanging in there. And be on the lookout. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, the Fortress YouTube channel, as well as the Fortress Physical Therapy Instagram page. And I'll put those handles at the bottom of this episode. That's a wrap for today's episode, Function with Purpose podcast. For more information on this episode, please check out the show notes within your podcast app. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, or drop your comments and questions below. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thanks for the listen. Pursuit, precision, purpose.